Of Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
Hello and welcome to the Delhi semi-finals of Businessline Boardroom Challenge 2023. I am Srimati Sridharan. Businessline Boardroom Challenge, a unique competition for B-Schoolers, has 3 levels: a preliminary round, a semi-final across 8 cities and a grand finale. The online test in the prelims tested students' decision-making skills and ability to work in teams. In the semi-finals, the students got the chance to meet and compete with the best minds from top B schools across the country and present their strategies. And in finals, students will showcase their skills by solving a live corporate case. Now without further ado, let's jump right into it. I now request Mr. Vinay Kamath from Businessline to take over.
Welcome all to the BL Boardroom Challenge 2023. I am Vinay Kamath of Businessline. This unique case challenge for B-Schoolers is in its 7th year. In the first year of the challenge, in 2017, Reba Chennai was the winner, followed by ISP Hyderabad in 2018 and IIM Ranchi in 2019. SIBM Pune won the contest in 2020, while IIM Shillong won in 2021 and SPJIMR in 2022. Till the 2019 edition, the semi-final rounds of the contest were held across 8 cities at B schools which hosted the event. The preliminary round has always been online, where students are administered a psychometric test to assess their decision-making skills and ability to work in teams. The grand finale, where B schools which won city-specific semi-finals competed for the grand prize, had in earlier years been held in Chennai. From the year 2020, keeping in mind the safety of the students and others involved in this contest during the pandemic, it has been conducted entirely online, including the semi-final rounds and the finals as well. This year too, we are conducting the event online, given its efficacy as a convenient medium where students don't need to spend time traveling to various destinations. The semi-finals case will test the participating teams on the knowledge of finance, marketing and strategy and decision-making skills and ability to work in teams. The BL Boardroom Challenge is a unique event which has become part of the calendar of contests for B schools. May the best team win the 2023 BL Boardroom Challenge. All the best.
To outline the case for the semi-finals, each of the teams had to take on a role of a consulting company that has a huge knowledge in the EV area. The task for the planning team is to make a 5-year business plan for a newly established company. This company, named Green Mobility India, is a subsidiary of a renewable energy giant. The participants have to facilitate its entry into the electronic vehicles market. They would need to present the dynamics and therefore qualitative and quantitative inputs if green energy can proceed in the EV space or not. The business plan if it feels the company should enter the field. Real impact of the EVs on the environment considering cradle to grave impact compared to ICE and hybrid. Understanding consumer preferences and secondary sources and projecting the market scenario for 5 years. Projected progress of charging infrastructure and its impact on penetration of EVs. Each team will get 15 minutes to present their case and will be followed by 5 minutes of questions and answers. The team will be marked for 50 points by each jury member. The team with the highest total wins. Here is the breakup. Understanding of case points 10. Case analysis 15. Solution 10. Presentation 10. Teamwork 5. Now it's over to the teams presenting today.
Good afternoon, everyone. So this is Team B, and we are here to present the case on behalf of Green Mobility India. Can we go to the next slide? So we'll directly come to the market analysis. And so it's mentioned in the case that the sales overview for 2022 to 23, the total EV sold was approximately 10 lakh vehicles, out of which the share of passenger cars was presumably very low. So talking about the 4 pillars which we have identified for the growth of EV market, the EV sector in India is the electric vehicle battery, re-energizing systems, and the government policies. Now the government has a target that it has an ambitious target that it will reach 20 million EVs, comprising of all the categories by 2030. But then the share of the passenger vehicles, which is, I believe, very ambitiously quoted, and the practicality of it is still questionable. We can go to the next slide. So the key factors which are influencing the current growth of the EV market is the cost of the ownership. And in the current situation, the EVs are the passenger EV vehicles are cost way higher compared to the conventional vehicles, and the need of cost reduction for mass adoption is there. We have charging infrastructure disruption. Approximately 9,000 public charging stations are there, and for reaching the ambitious goal by 2030, we'll be needing 1.32 million stations. Then there are government policies like FAME 2 subsidy, which was withdrawn, and the subsidized power like impact on the EV and the charging cost sustainably is being questioned. And out of all of these, the biggest issue which we have is the battery, because we are lacking the raw material and we are completely dependent upon several other factors for the fulfillment of the SOP. You can go to the next slide. So, and now let's talk about the consumer dilemma. Imagine if I am going to buy an EV for my own personal use. So what will be my thought process which will keep me in doubt? So EV is more likely to cost more initially, despite the long-term savings. We have limited choice compared to the gas cars. The range anxiety kicks in before we even know it. Batteries wear out, and the replacements are very expensive. There is almost negligible aftermarket service and expertise. We as an Indians, for economics, a car might be a depreciating asset, but not for the Indian market. Even if when we are done with our vehicles, we still want to bring out some value when we sell it off. So we believe that the aftermarket EV is still not there because the market itself has not matured. The government policies for the EV keep changing. Like when the government introduced EV in the market, they were subsidizing it. Eventually, they pulled it off. And I would like to say that the gas cars still might be cool choices in some places. Like India is demographically very big country, so temperature variances are there, and so many things are there. We have seen companies who have hastily launched their EVs, like the case with Ola, or we can Ather, or we can even say the hazard cases that which we have seen with Tata. Now Tata is a new entrant in the market. That is why they are enjoying the leverage of it. Plus, their initial investment for launching the EV projects was comparatively way lower for in comparison to a new company if they're planning to come into this sector, because they have in-house R&D, they have Tata Alexis, they have Tata Motors, so they need to work a little bit less than compared to a new company who's looking eyeing this sector. You can go to the next slide. So
Now I will.
I'll take this slide. So we have done a comparative analysis between ICE and EV. We have taken Tata Nexon EV and Tata Nexon Petrol, and the numbers are specifically centered to the Noida circle. So we can see that the cost per year eventually is way less compared to the way less in ICE compared to the EV. Ashu, you take over from here.
Uh, Sir, as it is mentioned, uh, sir, as we have done the comparison of Tata Nexon EV and the electric engine, the petrol version. Here we are seeing that the cost per year of Tata Nexon EV is lesser as compared to the petrol, and the cost per kilometer is also is less as compared to the petrol, sir. But when we are talking about the technical, basically the main idea was to push hybrid vehicle into the market rather than going into the pure electric sector. So here the hybrid, the utilization in there is a technical specification which we have done, that the hybrid vehicle uses both petrol and electric, and whereas the pure EV sector is solely dependent upon the electric market, electricity. In the hybrid, there is there is a surety that the dilemma which was earlier pointed out by Nishchay, that the range dilemma, which is eliminated in the hybrid vehicle, sir, because there is an option of using the fossil fuel as an alternative, just not relying on the electric EV charging. And so there are the couple of benefits, like it's combined of the engine is the combination of electric and combination of engine for the optimal mileage is benefited in hybrid, and the excess of braking charges is helpful in recharging the uh, uh, elect- uh, battery. The hybrid upfront cost is significantly lower, the hybrid lower as compared to EV, offering the budget-friendly option for the cost-sensitive markets. But which is also helpful in because the in hybrid, the battery is of a lesser capacity, and and that's why they are helpful. The cost of replacing the battery in hybrid is less as compared to the electricity. When we're talking about the adaptability and the variability, hybrid accommodate existing infrastructure because as there is one source of gaining the power was petrol. So we don't have to make a new infrastructure. We can rely on it instead of a faster adoption because there is an infrastructure problem in India right now. And even and the added benefit that they are in lower maintenance cost as compared to the main component of the electric vehicle is the battery component, which is on a higher side when we want to replace them. We have talked about much about the cost benefits in hybrid vehicle. It's not environmental friendly in when we compare the electric vehicle and hybrid vehicle also, sir. As we can see, the GHG emission while production is higher as compared to the electric vehicle. And even the uses also in the uses part, there is a higher side of hybrid vehicle, but if we because we are using the fossil fuel, that's why it's coming out to be on a higher side. And end life use also because we are not because the both the markets, either it's electric vehicle market or the hybrid vehicle market, both are not enough matured. So commenting on that is little bit on a diplomatic side, sir.
So I would like to now say that why focusing on hybrid makes much more strategic sense for the company, because uh, India is facing limited EV charging stations, and we have gas stations in abundance. So it will provide infrastructure accessibility as the company will be new. So they want to have the ease of business. Okay. They will have easier cost dynamics, like hybrid vehicles present a more affordable upfront investment compared to the entry level EVs. Despite lower operating costs for the EV, it will give the consumer their own preferences, like familiarity with resembling traditional gasoline car, easing the transition of Indian customers. It is quantifiable because substantial fuel saving will be there, 25 to 30% improvement over the traditional IC engine, which will be translating to 40 to 50 thousands of annual saving. Now, the most important thing is that it will help the company in market strategy advantages, like easier market acceptance, cost-effective platform, and smoother entry point. If the company starts with the hybrid vehicle, it it will eventually bridge the gap between the traditional car and EVs, leveraging existing preferences, and eventually it will be paving the way for the company to get into the EV market. Next slide, Ashu. So in conclusion, we want to say that while the EV revolution is still inevitable in India, the company focusing on hybrid vehicles at this stage presents a strategically sound and financially viable option for green mobility, and it will allow the company to enter the market in more competitively scenario, gain valuable experience, build customer trust, and solidify the company's position as a leader in sustainable mobility over the years, paving a way for smooth transition for full EV when the time is right. Thank you, sir.
What I'm saying is that, your presentation was very nice. It is quite detailed, but at the end of the day, where are the numbers? As a organization, as a consultant, we would like to know how much am I going to invest, what am I going to spend on what,
So
and which year am I going to what money? What is your plan on that?
So we have done the secondary data analysis, and I know, sir, in the PPT we did not include it because we were strictly opposing the decision of going with the EV sector. I'll just share my screen. So I'm very sorry, sir, for not including this in the slide. But then, sir, whatever recommendation we have come to, that was purely quantitative. Uh, so we have done the cost benefit analysis if the company goes into the hybrid vehicle segment or the EV segment. So eventually, for the market penetration, it is recommended for the company to start with the hybrid vehicle sector before and make a brand image, then further go into the electric vehicle sector because that is very capital demanding.
You go ahead, Vishal, because this doesn't really help right now because they're only comparing the existing brands, but you're not still suggesting what am I supposed to be investing based on whatever suggestions you have. I understand you appreciate your effort which you have put in, but as a green organization, I would like to know what are the times I'm supposed to be investing, how much, and which one. When do I make my money? When do I move away from hybrid and move into EV?
Moving away from the hybrid is not a choice. A
Okay.
healthy energy mix is always more sustainable than supporting one energy choice, right?
Okay.
So, like I'll tell you very honestly, India is a very sentimental country. Okay, now if the big players are not moving towards that, it's a no-no. I'll quote a few research papers and few seminars which I have attended previously regarding this only, and there were people who from the companies who are major market shareholders. Okay, and they are strictly saying a no go towards EV as for now. Until and unless the public of this nation is much more educated about it and has much more acceptability towards it, right? I'll give you an example. If I am having an ICE car, it gives me the full flexibility of owning it the way I want. It does not come with an EV, right? Eventually, if you look at good premium brands like Mercedes, Audi, Volvo, they are they have they are going on a subscription based model. If you are getting an EV from them, to use the features inside the car, you'll have to pay an amount. If you want to use the heated seats, you have to pay. If you want to use the Bluetooth, you have to pay. If you want to use the cruise control, you have to pay. Even if you are getting the whole car, you are not getting all of the features in the right way, right? That cannot be that cannot just happen in India at one go, right? Because
That's okay. I think SK was asking something different for the business plan. Anyway, we have understood that. Gururajji, you would like to go next? Then we can.
Yeah, okay. So I just mean, as SK said, now what we are interested is if I am going to establish it, what is the kind of cost I need to incur is I also was agreeing with them. And second aspect is which kind of hybrid are you looking at? We are talking about parallel, not the serial one, right? Why do you say so?
So parallel hybrid will condition the consumer toward owning an EV, and it will help with the anxiety eventually. That will not be there if they are owning a smart hybrid vehicle, which is already there in the market. Like the mass players are already working. It's widely adopted now, but then that won't give the consumer a habit to move towards the EV setting.
Other thing is, man, as a country, you know that we import, man, oil is our major import. I mean, if I have to strengthen my rupee also, I need to probably looking at other aspects. So, do you look at EV going and fully becoming EV? What time you are looking at? Whether there is business sense? Because, man, as you said, the existing guys who have the capacity here are coming into. I mean, as you mentioned, Tata Motors and others were already there. But the guys who are coming from outside, man, where do you think, man, scope for them? Is there a scope?
There is a scope only when the mass market movers adopt it, like Hyundai and Maruti. Until and unless they don't do, others won't follow. For others, it will be a cash burning routine. For Tata, they can do it because they have in-house development, in-house R&D, and they can bear the cost. It will not be financially feasible for a new entrant in the market. I'll give an example for that. Like we have BYD in the Indian market for more than 2 years now, and they're still struggling to even make a mark. Or
even the government is also not favoring the Chinese brands, sir, because they wanted to enter the market in the India market, but the Indian government doesn't allow that because even eventually, if the Chinese brands enter, they will just will cover the whole complete market also, and eventually they start to rule the price also. Like
after a point of time, they will have the monopoly and they will be in the control. They will be
like
of the controlling nature. I'll give you an example of the semiconductor crisis, which happened 1.5 years ago. Each and every automobile company was struggling to resume their assembly line, and that was not even for the EV sector. That was for general ICE engine cars. Now semiconductor is required in them to for their electronics. But then what when we are talking about the EV? It cannot function without that, right? And we do not have the in-house expertise to cater for that. So at a mass level, it will be going to difficult. So it's better if a company starts with a market presence first, then move that way.
Over to you, Vishy.
Yeah. I think first of all, I feel your analysis of which vehicle is more likely to succeed in future may not happen this way, but given the current conditions, your analysis was good. That hybrid is what is going to be should be the right vehicle in the current conditions, because though you've not done all the analysis of the lifetime running and including fuel and everything.
Yeah, we did the cost-based analysis.
So maybe in the background, but overall that's what it matches. Like currently, if you look both in terms of the overall lifetime cost of a vehicle, EV is the highest, followed by this, and then lease is the hybrid. I see that lease is the hybrid. That's how it works. So yes, for a consumer over a period of time, they will come to know that it's an expensive proposition. They may or may not go unless there is a change. Government, how long they will keep the subsidy, no one knows. So all these are good. But one of the main important thing that we were expecting from a consultant is a go no go. Should we get into it at all, or should we? Because what are we? We are a clean energy manufacturing company, which means we are either into, I didn't specify which clean energy, or we didn't specify. It is clean energy means it is either from wind energy or a solar energy, or whatever. We are manufacturers of clean energy. Okay, so that's a point to be noted, that one of the biggest criticisms of EV is that you're burning coal and fossil fuel to make electricity, and that's the reason why it's
EV
not
is
giving
sustainable
you,
only if it gets charged from the sustainable energy, right?
So here, was there a scope or chance for this company to break that, because they are a large player in EV, what do you call it?
Renewable.
Okay, so the renewable energy. That is one point of it. Secondly, we did mention, the case mentions a lot about what's the competition. If you have to survive in this market, you need 20%, almost 20% share of the EV market, without which it is not viable for you to do anything. To gain a 20% share of market, that's about, if you go by what is the market growth going to be, then it's going to be about 2.5 lakh vehicles per annum. Yeah. For 2.5 lakh vehicles per annum, what's going to be the investment? What is the kind of infrastructure that you require? Should they go in for their own infrastructure of charging facilities, or should they not? If they are saying okay, only hybrid, then okay, it's fine. But if you're talking about a parallel hybrid, which is the plug-in hybrid, as they call it, the plug-in hybrid, so there they have the choice of plugging in or running with fuel. Both are possible, and therefore it gives you better mileage. So these, if you put together, and there is one more very important factor, which is that you need to spend 3 times of an existing company who are already in the market with EV, or who already have their own vehicles, whether it is EV or not, because they have a brand image in the passenger
promotion and the marketing cost.
Yeah, so you will have to spend 3 times. That means for 20% market share, you'll have to be a 60% SOV share of voice.
But that is what I
right. So there'll be a 60% SOV you would require to get a 20% market share. Third, others, it clearly said that passenger vehicle manufacturing is not done from scratch. All manufacturing companies only assemble cars.
Assemble the parts.
They do not make the components. All components are procured. Therefore, the existing players' infrastructure cost is far lower than what would be this company's infrastructure cost, because Tata has a car assembly thing. They can just modify the car assembly section to make the electric vehicles. They have to, because they are all only assembling. They've got the robots to assemble. They just reprogram the robots to assemble. None of them make anything. Every bit of components come from ancillary manufacturers. So, but in this case, they have to set up the entire infrastructure for them to be able to do this. So, even if you didn't get the right answer, if you put all these factors that, okay, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this looks like you'll have to spend this kind of a money. Then management decides whether they want to spend that kind of a money or not, is fine. But prima facie, it is just for a 2.5 lakh. If you want to go to 2.5 lakh vehicles a month, a year, you would need about 12,000 crores of investment over the next 2-3 years. Now, is that something which would be feasible? Do they want to make it? Then on top of that, should they get into this infrastructure at all? Some of these would have been important to be. The first part you've done very well, which is going up to analyzing which car or which vehicle would be good if you want to go for it. But should we at all go or not go is something which you haven't really gone deeper into. Is my view.
Yes, we understand.
Yeah. Okay, good. But good effort and good analysis or understanding of your bang on that hybrid is what they should be, and that is where I think they have today's players have a scope. They're running after EV. They should actually go after hybrid and promote hybrid in a way that consumers understand what is real hybrid and what is the
Yes, exactly what we wanted to.
Consumers are not understanding difference between hybrid and EV. They think this is complete free. Once I've got the vehicle, it is free. It's not. Its lifetime running cost is higher than
that. Is what. So the education component is necessary.
Yeah. And that's where even the promotion costs are going to be pretty high.
And I believe that is the reason all the anxiety and all the dilemmas comes in.
So, True. It is coming in.
So you have understood, Nishchay.
Needs time of that.
So Nishchay, you have understood what Mr. Shujip is saying.
Yes.
This is what initially I asked you. The numbers. See, you have been very strong and vocal about what you felt, which is appreciable. But why? Why are you so strong and vocal in what you're saying? The numbers speak for it, right? There is a logic and reasoning behind why you're explaining. That is what Vishy is trying to explain. Basically, if you are giving me this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reasoning, it makes a decision easier.
We understand.
Good, but good. Overall, it was a good, analysis and presentation, I would say.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Team B.
Thank you so much.
All the best, guys.
Thank you.
All the best, sir.
We now have a special education AV from Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund.
Life is like cricket. When you get thrown a googly, how you bat is the difference between hitting a 6 and getting out. A simple example of a googly in life is your laptop crashing while you're working on an important business presentation. If you're smart and prepared, you should have your files backed up on the cloud and should recover from this loss quickly. If you are not prepared, you will have lost years of work. A complicated googly is the 2020 pandemic that shut the world down and disrupted businesses and economies globally. If you already had an online business module or quickly added one, you continued to work like normal. If you didn't, you probably struggled. As organizations, as employees, we try to plan for unexpected situations that could disrupt work. But as an individual, are you prepared to handle googlies like a medical emergency, a natural disaster, a recession, or another pandemic without draining your savings and generating a mountain of debt? If your answer is no, Then it is time to set up a contingency fund that can handle life's googlies. What is a contingency fund? Like the name suggests, it is a fund that may help you survive in an emergency. A contingency fund may give you breathing room if your salary isn't paid or if you lose your job. You may not be stumped on how to pay your child's school fees, utility bill and EMI, or worse, if you can put food on the table. How does a contingency fund help in these situations? Well, a good contingency fund is seeded with 6 to 9 months' salary. Do not panic. Yes, that's a lot of money. But you don't need to have it today. You will accumulate it slowly over time. All you have to do is stay committed and only use the fund for true emergencies. This means no spending it to upgrade your phone when it still works or using it to fund that spontaneous friend's trip. How to create a contingency fund? Think of a contingency fund as a systematic investment for unexpected situations. Step 1. Set up a contingency fund account. It can be a savings account, a liquid fund account, or any other type. Just make sure it is relatively safe, easy to access, and separate from your regular savings account. After all, you don't want to spend it accidentally. Step 2. Set achievable targets. When you are playing a match, you don't reach 400 runs on the first ball or even the first over. You keep your team motivated by setting smaller targets that will help you achieve the desired outcome. Similarly, set yourself smaller targets. Once you reach it, raise the bar higher until you have collected at least 6 months' salary. Step 3. Make your contingency fund a part of your financial plan. Analyze your existing income and expenses and find areas which can be tightened to give you a winning outcome. This should ensure you aren't struggling or forgetting to meet your targets every month. Step 4. Set up an automatic systematic contingency fund process. Start an auto debit to transfer your budgeted amount into your contingency fund account. Remember to increase the amount as your salary and expenses grow. Step 5. Replenish your systematic contingency fund. Every time you dip into your contingency fund, make sure you replenish it. This will ensure you are financially prepared to take on the next emergency, if any. Follow these steps with an aim to build a fund that could sustain your quality of life during an emergency. Start today and aim to be prepared to manage any googly that life may bring. An investor education and awareness initiative of Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
Sir, good afternoon to all the board members present here. Firstly, we'd like to thank you for giving us this opportunity to present our thoughts and suggestions on the case. So now getting into the shoes of a CXO, and let's just deep dive into today's agenda. The agenda being, can green mobility India enter the electric vehicle segment? Moving ahead. So there were 3 main options on the table as per our analysis, whether it was to enter into the hybrid vehicle segment or just go the all-electric way or drop the plan. After weighing all the pros and cons of our analysis, we have decided to go the EV way, and let's just explore why. So basically, India is at the inflection point where, when it comes to electric vehicle adoption, the EV path offers room for growth. It's a leap towards the sustainable development, and embracing EVs actually reduces India's oil dependency. If you can see, there are many investors who have also positively commented on the future of EVs, which is all in all a very good outlook for the EV market in the future. Next. So now some of the major EV automakers in India, such as Tata, MG, Hyundai, Mahindra, these companies are basically all investing in the development and production of EVs. Data also suggests that there has been a growing interest in the investment in the battery technology. The reasons for this can be due to a number of factors, be it increasing the demand of EVs, the need for more efficient and sustainable energy storage solutions. It can also be a potential for new battery technologies to revolutionize the industry like transportation and power grid. Apart from that, the Indian government has also introduced a number of policies to support the growth of EV industry. Some of them are the NEMMP, the reduction in the custom duty and taxes, PLI scheme, and also the reduction in GST on the electric vehicles. Next slide, please. So now coming to the cost of ownership of EVs, the data suggests that there is still it is still higher than the gasoline powered vehicles in India. But however, the gap is closing and EVs are becoming uh, as the battery technology is improving and the government has given in so many incentives. The segment-wise analysis also shows how EV is going to have huge penetration in almost all the segments, be it the two-wheeler, three-wheeler, four-wheeler. We can also see that in almost 5 years, it is just going to be double, which is a very positive thing for the EV segment. Next.
Yeah, so I'll take it from here. Now coming to the environmental impact, let's first look at the life cycle stages of an vehicle manufacturing. First would be the cradle stage, where the resource and the extraction of the materials takes place for the production. Then the gate stage, where this materials is being transformed into finished products, vehicles, and this vehicles is now being used by the consumers, whether the vehicles can be subdivided into ICs, hybrids, or the EVs. And the last is the final gray stage, where these vehicles, after being used for about 10 to 15 years, are being decommissioned, recycled, and the waste is being disposed. In the right hand side, we can see that in these different stages, how the emission occurs. And we can see that comparatively, the emission in the EVs is much less than the other two, that is hybrid and the ICs. Now coming to the consumer preference and the perceptions, as from the first chart, we can see that in India, 25% of the people have concerns of lack of electric vehicle charging infrastructure. So they don't prefer EVs because due to this issue. And but through our primary research, we can see that with better awareness and riding through the trend, people and youngsters are now preferring EV more than other counterparts. And comparing to the perception of consumers of ICEs and EVs, we can see that 66% of the people have say that the cost is more of EVs, which is also evident from the data. But also they prefer EVs because they understand the effect of EVs on the environment. Now, as we have seen in the case that the governments are gradually decreasing the schemes, such as the FAME 2 is also being will be implemented till March 2024, and after that it won't be implemented. Now, how will EV market sustain without the subsidies? We can see from the chart that most of the EV market has grown due to government subsidies in different countries. But in long term, the ownership of this cost will be reduced due to factors like lower fuel costs, lower maintenance costs, and also the government will likely to continue providing some form of support, whether in form of other schemes, and develop a innovative financial model to reduce the upfront cost of EV ownership. Coming to the barriers of EV adoption in India, first and foremost, as I've seen from the chart itself, that charging infrastructure, there's a lack of charging infrastructure, which is creating a mindset of consumers that they don't want to buy EV vehicles. Second, coming to the pollution, although EV is much greener option, the electricity generated to charge the batteries is still in the nascent stage of renewability. The battery use consists of materials like lithium, cobalt, and magnesium. And extraction of these batteries is one of the major barriers through which the EV market is not growing. The consumer attitude, as we have seen, that people don't prefer ICEs. So they prefer ICEs over EVs because they think that ICEs will be more cheap in the current stage, as EV cost much higher. And the R&D cost in EV currently is still at the nascent stage, but the R&D is the scientists and the companies are researching more and more on how to improve the battery efficiency and the recyclability of the EVs. And one of the other factors, and one of the major factors, is the range anxiety. So range anxiety is what people don't see EV cars as one to travel long distances. They see it only for short distances. So the R&D is also being done to increase the range efficiency and increase the battery life of the EV cars. So how to reduce these barriers? First is the adoption of EV infrastructure. So the government has introduced major provisions of incentives and subsidies both on the market manufacturing level and both from the sales side to increase the infrastructure adaptability of this EVs. And there are division of direct activities. So the activity division is done based on like several agencies have been appointed for implementation of policies and regulations. Also, the private players are playing a major role here for division of the activities and developing the EV infrastructure over the country. As we can see from the map, this is the current scenario of the EV infrastructure charging stations in India in various states. We can see that Karnataka, Maharashtra, and Delhi are one of the top leading players in this EV charging stations. And the charging are of three types. First, with the fixed charging, where the car and the station is fixed, and the car has to be placed in one place for the entire charging time. Second is the battery swapping, where the people can replace one battery and put the de-recharge battery to charge itself. And the last one would be removable battery. The removable battery are very lightweight and very small, and they can be charged at our homes itself. And the key players which are playing in these three segments are would be in two wheelers, the Ather Ola, and Hero Electric would be one of the major players. The three wheelers, Mahindra Electric and Piaggio would be the major players. And the passenger vehicles in India, Tata Motors and MG are the two leading market share owners. And if we see the cost breakdown of EV vehicles, the battery is one of the major cost which EV constitutes. And from the chart itself, we can see that what consumers prefer. In the first chart, we see the consumer prefers charging of the EV vehicles at home rather than other places. And the second chart, we can see that they prefer charging it through, in India, it's majorly through both the sources, regular power grid and alternate power source. But in other developed regions like Japan and US, they require a regular power grid to charge their EV vehicles. Raj.
So far we have seen that we have explored the market scenarios and various incentives and the charging infrastructure. But who controls the battery supply chain? So we see China controls 60% of the world's lithium battery processing power, followed by, and also 80% of the manufacturing capabilities. So, and ultimately 50% of the entire EV manufacturing system is also controlled by China. So China, all in all, is leading the market in terms of when it comes to EV supply chain. However, what can we do to countermeasure? What are some countermeasures which various countries are taking? Because as we have seen in case of Russia-Ukraine war, or even in cases of oil imports, a minor disruption in the supply chain can lead to huge cost implication when it comes to the consumer end. So the entire everything boils down to how we can reduce this dependency. So even though India has recently found a potential reserve of lithium of 5.9 million tons, but it's not enough. Finding those reserves is not enough, because India requires proper processing capabilities as well as mining capabilities for it. So for the given time period that we have, India currently imports 100% of its lithium from China and 70% of its EV batteries also. So hence we speculate that India will be dependent on China for at least next few years for its EV manufacturing capabilities. Next slide. So what are the case also opened up a good interesting question, that what are some of the green alternative sources of energy, because currently EVs as we perceive are not that sustainable, because not the entire electricity grid that is that we are currently using is through renewable sources. We are using coal also to fuel our to meet our energy requirements. So what could be the possible green energy sources? India, as we know, is a major producer of agricultural. It has 197.05 million hectares of gross crop residue. So as we know, the Green Mobility's parent company is a renewable energy giant. So in one way or the other, based on various biological pathways which are not dependent on traditional electricity grid for generation of electricity. So we can use some biological conversion pathways to generate either bio hydrogen or bioethanol, and then use that to generate electricity. So these are some untapped potential that India has currently, and we can use this to power our electricity, and also the scale up and meet the increasing demands of electric vehicle charging stations. Next slide, please. So it's not just the Indian market that we need to look. There are a lot of countries that have already started adopting EV a long back. USA, which has major players like Tesla, which started electric vehicle manufacturing back in 2003. But despite such major developments, USA has only 3 to 5% penetration currently for electric vehicles when compared to other vehicle models. UK is obviously leading the market currently with almost 20% penetration rate, and projected rate for projection of EV shares in Europe, China, and USA is given in the graph below. We can see that Europe will reach of almost 70% market share by 2030. So what can we learn from these major countries which are in a way nailing the EV space, EV landscape? So there are financial incentives which EU and other UK are offering. So we can see what sort of tax schemes and they are doing. So Indian government is also offering similar tax incentives. When we come to China, the Chinese government is very supportive of EVs through subsidies and tax breakup and other incentives. And there is also a domestic competition in the EV market when it comes to China, and which has reduced a lot of price and for the EV cars in their market. And when it comes to USA is leading in innovation because there are specified courses which are in electrical automobile industries, which the students are constantly innovating there. So these are some things that we can also come up in India with, which is obviously going to be a long-term thing, but these are some things which we can learn from other countries and implement in India. So as we know, there are a lot of players in the EV space. The original equipment manufacturers are already started developing a lot of components, have conducted a lot of R&D, and have already started producing a lot of cars in this space. So how do we differentiate ourselves? So there are 5 major parameters where we can differentiate. First is the brand. There are a dearth of brands which are EV dedicated. Generally, right now, the OEM manufacturers are the major players right now, like Hyundai, Toyota, or Tata too, for example, which are making these vehicles. So we should having a dedicated brand with a clean sheet with no major safety and issues or concerns that have arisen is a strength that we have in our case. Coming to the customer experience. So when we talk about customer experience, it differs from what it is for the OEMs, the traditional ICE ecosystem that we have. Because in the ICE ecosystem, the after-sales services have a lot of maintenance component to it. But in case of EVs, these are lower because we have a simpler component, simpler and lesser number of components in an EV car. Major portion which we need to concentrate is on the recharging part of the batteries. So here are the opportunities that we can offer in form of strong partnership. Here is where we need to focus on our product strategy. How are we going to model our business? What should be our packaging of the offerings? Because there are a lot of players in the market. So to differentiate ourselves, we need to offer some flexible, convenient options to the customers and move from these ownership model, which focuses on owning the vehicles, which which is currently a very costly affair for a lot of users because of the current price range of the EVs. So we can instead move to a user-based model, which focuses on share-based economy, rental system, fleet-based models. So these could be a major drivers and help create momentum for the EV market in the future. Similarly, as we discussed in the case of China, China is controlling the entire 80% of the entire world's supply chain for lithium battery ions. Unlike oils, which once we use gets extinguished, lithium batteries are lithium power batteries are recyclable. So we can also focus on recycling and giving these batteries a second life. So this supply chain is also something which we can look forward to in our long-term plan, obviously. And finally, coming to talent, because whatever an organization cannot go ahead without good talented engineers when it comes to EVs. We need to hire and invest in the expertise of multi-skilled engineers who have expertise in battery chemistry, engineering, R&D. And also, when we talk about talent, we also have to see what would be our strategy. Are we gonna outsource these production and assemble in-house, or are we gonna do the complete production in-house? So this will obviously influence how and where we are gonna invest in that talent part of the ecosystem. Next slide, please. So this is our plan that we have come up with. So as we know, as we have seen the charging infrastructure map of India in one of our previous slides, Delhi, Karnataka, and Maharashtra are the leading states. Most of these OEM manufacturers are concentrating on the tier 1 cities. So instead, we can either concentrate on the tier 2 cities or in the tier 1 cities where these the market penetration by popular manufacturers is not that great. So this should be our focus areas in the initial starting phase when we are starting out our pilot when we run our pilot test for our business model. Also, we suggest that the division of the vehicles that we produce is of 80-20. 80% of the vehicles be of this fleet specific model that will be used in case of say for which we can partner with other B2B companies like Ola, Uber, or other upcoming startups for a revenue sharing model. And the other 20% will be for passenger cars. Either it can be for luxury, or if we can, if possible, we can introduce affordable price EV, because there is where there's a lot of room for growth currently in India. Also, coming to the next 2 to 5 years, we need to focus on scaling our charging ecosystem. When we conducted our business plan analysis and we did the financial analysis of the charging ecosystem for charging stations compared to that of manufacturing plants of these EV cars, we found that break-even point for charging stations were faster compared to that of the EV cars that we are building. So these charging station could be a driving force in our entire driving force and help us gain momentum. Charging as a service is what we could provide as a plan to the users of our cars as well as those of other players in the market. So it provides as a continuous source of income and cash flow in our to our company. Also, our research showed that software and IT capabilities will be what will differentiate us from the other players. So investing in IT and software capability is very important. Having good to have features and introducing wow factors like enhanced safety, driving assistance features, or performance optimization. These are something which will help create a different differentiation when compared to other models and other IoT related capabilities for tracking the performance of our vehicle. when coming to fourth and fifth year of our plan, we see we need to widen our distribution network. That is, we could leverage the existing ICE service and repair centers for our maybe maintenance of our cars. We can partner with them because initially, within keeping everything very optimistic, we don't feel that there would be a lot of issues if we look at it from a very optimistic point of view. But if there are any issues, instead of investing directly into the servicing part, we can outsource it. Finally, we also need to scale up our B2B partnership for fleet-based specific models, which will help drive our revenue. Finally, when coming to after 5 years, we can also start investing on the recycling capability of the batteries, as we discussed earlier, and how we can start a reliable residual values management mechanism and third parties for EV vehicle resales. The bottom half of the corner shows, sorry, the previous slide. The bottom half shows the business canvas model, which talks about the key players that are car manufacturer, maintenance service, and so on and so forth for data analytics companies, because EV and upcoming IoT infrastructure with Industry 5.0, a lot of things will be on cloud. So obviously we need, and when we talk about electric and when we talk about automation, there is a lot of analytics that we can get, which will not only help give customers a lot of insights about their car and car related information, but also to us as a company, where we can improve and improvise our offerings to the customers.
Rajshri, just sorry to interrupt, but you exceeded more than your 15 minutes.
Okay, sorry, sir. We thought we will be getting a buzzer, so
yeah.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah. Anyway, you can just wrap up and.
Yeah. So this is the business recommendation plan. We had guesstimated these prices based on a lot of website information, and we saw that the payback period for electric charging stations was 5 years, and for EV plant with concessions from the government, it was 7 years, and without concession was less than almost nearly 6 years. So that almost sums up our solution framework. So these are the 5 critical interventions that we want to have. That is customer-backed product, optimized capital expenditures, in which we can have the rental systems, the revenue sharing model, and reimagining the distribution model to go beyond metros and tier 1 cities, prioritizing fleet-based segments to gain near-term momentum, and building native softwares to differentiate and drive our profits. And finally, scaling the charging infrastructure. Thank you, sir. And we are now open for questions.
Can you please go back to your business plan for a second?
Yes.
No, not this one. The numbers. Yeah. So these numbers are what, rupees?
So for the fixed cost, these are in rupees, and the units are over here. The units produced is in the numbers, the specific number.
Yeah. So so you're saying the total fixed cost will be 30 crores.
So total fixed cost is not 30 crores, sir. Total fixed cost we are taking as 5 crores because we are considering our plant will be in a suburban area, and we are only having a capacity of 2,500 cars, the total overall capacity. So based on that, we estimated the plant size and got on the cost. These will obviously vary, so based on the region, and we don't have the real data. It is just a guesstimate figure, so it might vary from data, and the payback period will obviously vary when. Yes, sir.
Okay. Fine.
Vishy, go ahead with your questions, maybe.
Okay. Can I go ahead with my questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So a lot of primary research, good amount of primary research, and trying to understand the market. So I would appreciate the amount of effort that has gone into understanding what's happening in the market. But where I would have a bit of an issue is that what does one do? I'm thinking your business. That's why I wanted to see your business plan recommendation. One of the thing is you said after a lot of deliberation, you decided EV is the way. But what is that deliberation is what what the company would want to know, because why would I go for EV? Should I go for what is the economics? Why is that something which is better than ICs, better than hybrids, or is it part hybrid, part EV? What is the best plan for a company like this? So it was your presentation was an excellent, like a white paper on EVs and on charging stations and charging infrastructure and all, but there is a lot of some very important things which I felt were missed out. And I think that's something which you would have need to think about. It is like, what's the consumer preference and what does consumer go with? What's going to be the infrastructure? We are recommending infrastructure, but that's not how it is happening currently. As the case says, we only have 9,000 chargers across the country. So and in the latest news, if you have read, Tata has signed this with Inwile for putting up 30,000 chargers over next few years. So it's so minuscule compared to 1.32 million, which is required for us to reach anywhere in that this segment. Finally, to have just a 2,500, the case very clearly says that you need to at least be 20% of the market for you to be viable. A player to be 20% market share to be viable, and on a 20% market share, you need to be 2.5 lakh vehicles per annum. And anyway, I think your numbers are totally off. You can't even get one plot for 5 crores to start. I mean, 5 crores is, you don't even get one machinery for 5 crores. It is upwards of a plant costs in hundreds and thousands of crores, and not this, especially for a new player who's does not have an assembly infrastructure already. So they have to put up an assembly infrastructure. So my summation here is, you have to look at, you've thrown a lot of information from primary this, and you've given all this. But if this came to you, would you be able to take this and say, hey, I'm confidently putting my money in and I'm going to go with this as a business plan? I won't be able to do that. So that's my biggest concern, that I don't think I've got all the boxes ticked for me to say, yes, I can sign this, or it tells me whether to go or no go, or if you go, I go with hybrid or I go with this, and the comparisons have not been to the satisfaction. So that's my take on it. I don't know how the other jury members feel.
Okay, Mr. Gururaj, you want to go?
Yeah. Hi guys, really, it's a very nice presentation. I think a lot of info, and the way you have presented, really, kudos to all three of you. And really, you coordinated well also in explaining the things, that is positive. As Vishy said, I think the numbers is where probably you got it wrong. And more than that, what I was also looking at is probably the comparison between, among all the three, right? The ICE and then the hybrid, and then what is the average cost, life cost, which will come over 8 years, and then probably saying that this is what is a better model, whether I should start with the hybrid and then move to the EV, or some kind of, rather than straight away saying that EV is the best thing, because the numbers are not proving that, right? So that's where, instead of making a straightforward statement, EV is the thing, you could have probably showed the cost and then say why I am saying EV is the best thing, right? So probably that approach could have been better, but kudos to all three of you, and really impressed with the presentation. Of course, the main business plan is where I think you went wrong. So all the best here. Thank you.
Hey
Thank you
guys,
so much.
yeah, yes, I have nothing new to add, but the only thing is the presentation was fantastic. Uh, just listen a piece of information. When you have so much information with you, you have got so much of data, don't put everything in one slide like that. What happens is now, as a person who's reading it, right, as a consultant, you're presenting, somebody sitting on the board and reading it, they don't have the time to read the entire thing. Right, you'd have to just present the gist of the entire thing so that for us to understand. You have one corner left hand picture, right hand one first thing, and you are trying to explain everything at the same time. People will lose interest over a period of time. That's number one. Number two, instead of doing that, if you had spent time of comparing how, like whatever been told so far, what happens with ICE, what happens with hybrid, then why? Because you already made a strong point in the very first slide by saying we are planning to go to EV. Fair enough. Absolutely fair enough. But after that, for each one, if you had made a comparison, it becomes much more clarity for the management to say, okay, the reason why they are recommending EV. Now, the manager also can ask you questions of why not hybrid, because this is what you are telling me. When based on the comparison, I can ask you this question, right? Today, I don't even have this thing to ask a question. And of course, numbers are gone a little wrong. But otherwise, presentation was good, the teamwork was good, everything was nice. Somewhere, this, if you can, introspect yourself, I'm sure you'll be able to work on this. Okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good work.
All the best, guys.
Thank you, sir, for giving us the
Yeah, thank you.
opportunity. It was a really good learning for us.
Thank
Thank
you.
We now have a special education AV from Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund.
Benefits of SIP, STP, SWP. Win with SIP. This is Sid. He recently started working and wishes to invest his money in the stock markets. But his salary isn't much and he has only a small sum of money left to invest every month. While he was contemplating on what he could do, his elder sister Reena came to his rescue. An avid investor herself, Reena introduced him to the magic trio of SIP, STP, SWP.
Don't worry, you don't really need a large amount to start investing. You can invest as little as 500 rupees weekly, monthly or quarterly using SIP, that is Systematic Investment Plan in mutual funds. And before you wonder how it could help, let me tell you, a SIP has many advantages. 1. It lets you start small. And when you invest every month, you average your purchasing cost. So, you needn't worry about timing the market. For example, let's assume you invest 500 rupees every month. Given the market volatility, the cost of purchasing a unit of a mutual fund will change every month. Say, in the first month, you may get 40 units for 500 rupees. In the second month, you may also get 25 units for the same amount and perhaps more in the next month, say 45 units. This difference in price averages out over time, giving you the best possible price per unit over time. 2. You not only make your money work, you also make time work in your favor by starting to invest sooner than later. 3. You also benefit from the power of compounding by reinvesting the profits earned from your investments in mutual funds. Let me explain. Suppose you invest 500 rupees per month for a year. In 12 months, you will have invested 6,000 rupees. Let's assume your money grows at 8% during the year. So, your investments will be worth 6,480 rupees at the end of year 1. Now, if you leave the entire amount invested in the fund and continue with your SIP, by the end of the second year, your investment would be 12,480 rupees. That is 6,480 rupees plus 6,000 rupees. But given the 8% returns, you would have earned a profit of 998.4 rupees. And this amount will continue to compound as long as you stay invested.
This is quite enlightening. But sis, I have a doubt. When I get a bonus at the end of the year, how do I invest it? I don't want to take the risk of timing the market.
I'm glad you are catching on, Sid. You just need to be smart with your investments. You can park your bonus in a low-risk debt or liquid fund initially, and then set up a STP, that is a systematic transfer plan, which will transfer fixed amounts from this scheme to other debt and equity schemes regularly and give you all the advantages of a SIP. So you don't have to worry about timing the market. And while the SIPs happen, your money isn't lying idle in your bank. It is earning interest in debt or liquid fund. And just like a SIP, STP allows you to set the duration of your investment period. For example, if you get a 50,000 bonus, you can choose to invest 5,000 in a single scheme or 1,000 in 5 different schemes over the next 10 months. You can make this choice based on what goal you wish to achieve.
You have a solution for everything. I have one more question though. I can keep my investments going every month, but how can I withdraw, say after 10 years, without the hassle of timing the markets?
Well, Sid, this one is easy too. Let's assume you are investing for your retirement funds. Once you retire, you can turn your SIP into a SWP, that is a systematic withdrawal plan, and get a fixed income at regular intervals. So if you need 25,000 rupees per month to meet your expenses, you can set up the SWP to deposit 25,000 rupees into your bank account every month or 75,000 rupees every quarter. SWP gives you the flexibility to choose. A SWP not only aims to give you protection against market volatility, it keeps your money working for you. So, you see, when you SIP, STP or SWP, you aim to win on multiple levels, today as well as tomorrow.
An investor education and awareness initiative of Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
We need to appreciate both the teams for joining in today, and both the teams had done an excellent presentation. Looking at all the aspects, the jury has finally decided that Team B, which is NTPC school, is the winner for today's program. Yeah, thank you.
Nivesh Fables presents Choose Your Advisor Wisely.
There were 2 rabbits. Willy was the wise one, and Fred was not so wise. They were walking through a field and came upon 2 carrots. Fred excitedly rushed and picked up a carrot, but it was smaller than it looked. He was confused, so Willy said, "Judging a carrot by its leaves is not the right way." After walking for some time, they came across another set of carrots. This time, Willy chose the carrot first. Fred thought, "How come the carrot with smaller leaves is small?" Willy replied, "I do not judge a carrot by its leaves." For the 3rd time, they found 2 carrots again. Willy pulled out 1 carrot and offered it to his friend. Fred was still confused and said, "I don't know how you do it, but I guess you're just smarter than me." "Fred, I may have the wisdom, but I share it with others and help them benefit from it too. You're my friend, you trust me, and I want you to have this carrot." In real life, while making investment decisions, don't we all look for an advisor like Willy, who wouldn't just look at the leaves superfluously, but analyze, inspect, understand the investments thoroughly, and suggest the right one for us? Someone who we can trust our hard-earned money with. As they say, if you look for a financial advisor, look for someone with the heart of a teacher and the soul of a friend. Have you found yours? An investor education and awareness initiative of Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
Thank you for watching. This is Businessline Boardroom Challenge 2023.